Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a limitation. Hater plotting my elimination. Gotta go to Google for the information. I'm a superstar, so I gotta shine. Top dollar be the bottom line. Bottom feeding niggas out of line. Turn your heart rate to a dotted line. Yeah, my zodiac probably dollar sign. Got the energy to win it, my nigga, I'm feeling great. Got a date with destiny, focusing on my fate. I don't give a fuck what you rapping, you been a fake. I'm everything that they ain't, it can't be, it won't be. Wanna see me fall, I can't go, I won't leave. Coming from the block with plain clothes and police. Straight up to the top with bankrolls and rollies. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, 12 can't really stop shit, so I'm still pushing like a mosh pit. Ice dripping, think I'm hot shit. In a yellow bucket with the mop stick. I've been jugging jams like wholesale. Everything must go sell. Hitting bitches with the old well. Need 100 million on the low scale. On my worst night, I'm the best nigga. Wouldn't mess with you, couldn't cap to him. Homie spotted me like 700, brought 1100 right back to him. If I can't do it, then it ain't real. I just make dollars, I don't make deals. I've been going hard in the paint, still blowing kush clouds till I can't feel like. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
And welcome one, welcome all. This is Conqueror League on this beautiful Wednesday night. I am your play-by-play caster, Malco, joined tonight by a new and crazy friendly face with the Boston Celtics banner right behind him as my lights go out. It is Jack Kelly, LOL. How you doing today, my man?
I'm doing excellent. Couple months off, and I'm back coming off the bench, as we mentioned before. 6-man of casting. Excited to be here in
Yes,
Titan
sir.
for this Conqueror League matchup, a very important one between our two teams as they try to stay in the playoff hunt.
Yes, as we are going to be presenting to you guys tonight, Dorado Gaming Iota versus Conduit Esports Phoenix. Both of these teams had some decently high expectations of them, especially considering both of the names they're carrying with Dorado Gaming and Conduit Esports. These were expected to be some top tier teams within this league, and unfortunately, as we're looking at the current standings, both of these teams aren't really doing so hot. Both of these teams in danger right now of not making it to playoffs, and especially for a team like Dorado Gaming, they don't want to let that happen. And so we're going to be looking into what are these two teams are going to be able to do to try to keep those playoff hopes alive. As Dorado Gaming, literally, if they lose this, it's over for them. They have no chances of making it into playoffs. So here we are as we're going to get ready to get into this draft. Jack, what are you thinking is going to be the biggest potential matchups or the thing that's going to influence these two teams whether they win or lose?
Going into the match before we saw these substitutes, which you're now seeing on the Dorado side, they have a substitute jungler and their entire bot lane is subbed. I would have said the jungle matchup between Nasion and Azilla, who's the starter, but now I think that's a much more even matchup. Nasion was the lowest ranked player on the team, so I figured, maybe there could be some bullying going on there, but now I think all eyes go to the mid lane. It's a very steady matchup where you've got Soul of Ghost playing all of the meta stuff. The Orianna's even got a ton of Azir games, which you do not see often in this meta. If you can pilot Azir well, you can be a monster here. And then Derizen has a lot of mages, but it's more of the mages you'd expect around this cap. So already seeing a ton of mid lane focus coming out of these bans. Orianna and Nico can flex Hui and Mel.
Yeah, and I do like saying, I do like that you called out the flex because we do have quite a bit of flexes, especially nowadays that we do see a lot more of these mages going into the bot lane. You could also potentially even see Hui pick up the APC role and start to roll through things. So it's very interesting that we do have that big focus on mid lane, but it also feels like that they are also picking up on the ADC side, as we do see looks like a little glitch here that we're getting the Seraphine in the first pick for Dorado Gaming Iota, but for Conduit Esports it looks like Ashe is banned and picked here. Maybe the ban it's a it's actually an Ari ban is what we're getting is the call for CPX. So that's why the Ashe is getting picked up, which is going to deny the Ashe Seraphine combo for the side of DGOI. But something almost just as good, I would actually argue, is going to be the MF Seraphine in that bot lane, which she still does have the ability with her Make It Rain to be able to get that combination with the Seraphine's ability to do the beat drop and potentially get the enhanced one that could potentially lead to a stun and a nice little engage, drop right over the bullet time, and that could actually lead to some really good combos, especially coming off the level 6. And we get to see after the Wukong is gonna be the lock picked up, and this is gonna be the first lock I get to see and get to cast within this series. So this is actually gonna be insane. And we're gonna see as the final pick of the first pick phase is going to be the Jax for the side of Dorado Gaming.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to be the Jack support. Usually only picked into Camille. I think that's probably going either top or jungle. And one note on the Seraphine could be flexed into mid lane still. And I would say they should into the lock because this is the champ that wants to get right on top of you, stay there. The only part of Locke's game that as an assassin is a bit of a hindrance for him is it's very telegraphed. Even though he has that blink dash on his E, he has to get those nails stacked up on you. So you know when he's looking to dive onto you. So if you're on the Seraphine, you can easily throw out the beat drop, push them off a little bit, heal yourself up with the surround sound, and get out of there. So I would recommend that flex if they can do that. But, I mean, right now, Conduit have a incredibly easy to execute composition. They are just full dive, full CC. They have so much follow-up, pick potential. They know what they want to do, whereas Dorado looking for a lot more team fight damage where they need to execute, find unique angles, and now we see the Renekton coming in. We did hypothesize earlier that would be the matchup we see here, so Jack's jungle likely to be where they go with that.
And I'm expected to see for this top side. Wait a second, you said that you couldn't expect it, but look what we're seeing. It's gonna be the Gnar up in that top side to go ahead and try to be that potential counter against the Renekton. I do like the matchup because I feel that Renekton, even with the ranged advantage, once the Gnar goes into his mega form, I feel like it's a little bit easier for Renekton to be able to trade back the blows and combat against the Gnar. So I feel we're gonna end up seeing something along the lines of a really intense matchup up in that top side, and I think the top and jungle, I think the junglers are gonna be going up there a lot more to try to influence that lane and allow them to push forward. I really do like the call out that you did for Conduit Esports composition, because like you said, it is just pure go in, dive, potential long range engage from the Ashe arrows, which in that late game situation, it feels like it's just off cooldown every like 45 seconds. Boom, 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 boom. You're just getting hit by these Ashe arrows, and those potential squishy members, like especially for MF or Seraphine, one of those two get caught by that. You have the cyclone from the Wukong. You then have the immediate jump on top of you from the Lock with his E, and then Leona, of course, long range solar flare, then jumping on top of you with the Zenith blade, stunning you, and you just can't go anywhere. This is a literal, hey, you've been selected and you're not playing League of Legends, take your hands off the keyboard, go back to the gray screen and try again next team fight. Like these guys from Conduit are really bringing something that I'm so curious to see how well they do, but we can't take Dorado Gaming out just yet. And I definitely have to say that they have a specific team fight combination, especially with the Jax and the Renekton being able to help extend the encore of the Seraphine by being that frontline engage for the enemy for the side of Dorado Gaming. And then we just see that the in-between worlds from the Aurora being able to dish a lot of damage, get her towards that backline and try to take out that Ashe as quickly as possible. So they do have avenues on the side of Dorado Gaming to be able to make this to be able to go against the composition that Conduit Esports has brought today. But the simplicity sometimes of a composition like Conduit Phoenix could potentially lead to honestly to an easy game 1 win for them if they just play it out right.
I am always more in favor of the easy to execute comps. Right now, I'm thinking that Conduit is less needing to find early advantages. It's less necessary for them to get far, far ahead in these lanes to dissuade those all-in engages around these major objectives. And I think Dorado need to especially protect this bottom lane. If they can keep the Seraphine and Misfortune in this game, allow them to get to their break points, then it'll be much more difficult for Conduit to just sprint forward as they get the level 2 advantage right away. But they don't want to push it too much. Everyone just interested in getting through this early game. I'm surprised by this matchup with the Aurora being favored into Lock. One of the lower range mages, and certainly has a lot of burst, but will kind of always be putting themselves in Lock's, range and want to fight if they go for these trades. As a decent one for Aurora comes out, no mana already for Lock.
As Lock is about to go, the Aurora planning to go into Lock. This was actually something I was curious about, is how well will Lock be able to handle a lot of this long range poke that the Aurora can actually potentially land onto him, even though it is not as long as, let's say, like obviously a Xerath, a Vel'Koz, or something else that potentially that the Lock could go into. But the Aurora has always been kind of like that lane terror. Like she's almost a lane bully in some senses, and I feel like when you're at melee, hold on here, we're getting a little fight as Cali G going into Stubby and has not forced out the flash just yet. The boomerang gonna be able to stop the advance any more of Cali G. Too far into turret, doesn't want to potentially lead themselves to getting slain by the tower itself, and that's gonna end the top lane engage. But right now Renekton being such a bully up in the top side.
Yeah, pushing that advantage early. So little attack speed on the mini Gnar early in the game and such little range that Stubby has to put himself in danger if he wants to trade, as Avengers being deployed on the mid lane right now. 3 members show
Right.
up. Wukong does not want to help either. Luckily, Locke has that Ashen Pursuit, able to use it to get out of there. And in the bottom lane, you see Conduit responding, pushing in Misfortune, but Efron doing a good job stabilizing the CS, not falling too far behind, and right now has it crashed into their own turret. They get set up a pretty damaging freeze right now.
Yeah, I do like the way that I honestly like the way that both these bot lanes are playing right now. They both, it feels so even, and I think we have, unfortunately, Renekton leaving the game, which is gonna lead to a pause for the time being, it seems. So we should be back momentarily. I was gonna say, up in the bot lane, I was actually very curious to see how well these two laners were gonna play into one another, and right now it doesn't seem like either one is actually like, particularly having a real advantage over the other. As we did get notified that the top did DC. Unfortunately, they will be back momentarily. Probably just a quick Wi-Fi restart. You want to be having as stable as ping as possible when you're playing League of Legends. And remember, these are do or die games for both of these teams right now. Both of them really want to try to make these playoffs. Both of these teams wanting to be able to prove that they are worthy of, the Conduit slash Dorado gaming names that have become so not necessarily synonymous, but I definitely would say have become name states within the league themselves.
Yeah, especially around this ELO level, Conduit Esports has become a staple. Same can go for Dorado. And I think for the Dorado namesake, they've been in a position the last 2 years where they were attempting to climb all the way up to the top of tier 2. They had the NACL team that was really looking to compete, maybe even thinking about trying to win the summer playoffs, get into a position where they could try to promote at least. And now this season, they are back in the NACL, but with a much, much different looking roster, with a much different ceiling that they're eyeballing, and maybe a bit of a refocus for the organization. Games like this is where you really have to show that you still have a pull as a team, as a name, where you can come in with some substitutes and still pick up games. You have at least a leader or a coach who can pull out a draft that works. So we're getting word that our top still has not returned, and we are seeing that on the screen that they have reconnected, but we are going to send it to a whoop, never mind. I'm getting absolutely crossed up right now by production. This is the perfect way to return to the league scene as a caster. And I think I do want to say for Dorado, this is a bit unique for me in terms of like having some subs coming in and drafting kind of this like outplay lineup instead of a more cohesive composition. At least that tells me maybe they're pretty confident.
And I feel that when you have to have confidence in general when you're playing into these types of games. It's once again do or die situation. And as we were talking about in the draft, we both are thinking in the same light. We like these compositions that are just much more simple to execute, to have a clear mission of what they want to do. Because the funny thing is, and I've kind of learned this after casting for Olympus one previous season, and then this season, wait a second, the TP immediately going into Risen, gonna just be able to back off. I thought Solo Ghost would have been a little bit more aggressive after that TP had happened, but instead we're just gonna get a little bit a little bit of a mix up here. 1 second.
This is the classic spectator pause after a
Yeah.
real pause. Once again, I say I leave for a couple months, I come back, and everything's the same, just the way I remember it. None of this fixed. Oh, something I did just notice. Really good summoner spell allocation for Efron going for the cleanse. Barrier really not going to help you if you get hit with any of the CC. You're getting one shot. I don't care if you have barrier or not. So grabbing the cleanse to be able to reposition and get that tenacity afterwards is a very good pickup into this lineup.
And I really do like the way that MFs play nowadays, where they're kind of doing the Draven route, where you're building BT first item. And I like that for the survivability of MF, especially into a composition like this where they're gonna want to CC you down. And Darison getting taken down is a low damage, goes in. Now has to back away. Soul of Ghost though, not level 6, can't get not gonna be able to utilize the ultimate to potentially secure that kill. And with no ignite as well, does not have the same type of kill pressure that generally a lot of Auroras would have in the 1v1. So we do, and then also, oh man, the Wukong is here, and he is not spotted. Noodles for 2 though. Did he barely just see him? No, but Jax is way at his Krug, so he could potentially come to save him. Nation gonna back off there.
Yeah, I think he might have gotten seen on the ward as mid lane. Looks like we had a bit of a skirmish. The real difficulty here is that Soul of Ghost is just having a hard time landing those twofold hex, getting that bonus damage, as no ultimate on the Seraphine, no ultimates on anyone except for Locke in this bottom lane fight, and Aurora.
Zenith Blade gonna end up missing there, barely onto the target as they were looking for the Seraphine. Fatal Bloom sitting there trying to block in case they want to try to go in for this Drake, and very well done by the team of Conduit to be able to keep the spacing and be able to secure the first Drake of the game.
Yeah, they didn't even have to commit to anything. Just the threat of what their team can do was enough to scare off the members of Dorado, and Soul of Ghost not having the health or mana to contribute means free first dragon going over to Conduit. It is just the Chemtech, so not going to be an enormous gain there. And off of these backs, I think Dorado is going to be looking much better if they try to find another skirmish. Hextech Alternator picked up for Aurora. Sheen now on the Jax. Tier starting to stack for Noodles for 2. So going to look a lot more competitive if they match back up, whereas Locke, sitting on a couple of these components, knows that they're not going to have a great chance at getting kills early in this game. And Cull for Ashe, same thing. They understand the benefits that their composition provides them. Just get to the late game without being super far behind, and you're gonna be able to compete. So for now, we can just play safe, try to stack and farm up for those moments.
And I think for the side of Dorado as well, they do have Hold On Nation, finding Soul of Ghost using the in-between worlds to be able to get away. Shield of Daybreak gonna land down onto Efron, but no more engage from the bot side, as it looks like they don't want to take the 2v2 fight just yet. As honestly, it would, even though it's only neither one of the supports are level 6, I think that would actually be the advantage of Efron on the MF with the bullet time, probably dishing out so much more damage than the Ashe could possibly do before potentially just getting killed.
Right now on the map, DeBay just shot out a hawk shot. They have a pretty good idea that Jax is on the bottom side of the map, but a lot of resets have just come through, so no real option to do anything with that information. I'm assuming that we're going to see Nasian go for these grubs right now with the knowledge that Jax is not on his top side and all those camps are cleared. They do have Prio because of the push or the range advantage top side, but level behind is the Gnar still. Level 8 just ticked for Renekton, so maintaining that 1 level lead. And I don't know if Locke will be able to move first, but that doesn't really matter. Aurora is pretty committed to continuing to just fight this guy and missing most of their abilities still. But no damage coming down the turret. I'm surprised neither of these junglers have really got more involved in this game. There's so much skirmishing mid lane. Bot lane seems pretty content with hard pushing in over and over again, and they just haven't really found any angles. All 3 Void Grubs go to Conduit. That's a complete objective supremacy that they have locked down now, and maybe we do see our first gank of the game come through here, but again, just activating that Soul Ignition can just run away.
Oh, Solar Flare going to be used down on the bot side of the Shield of Daybreak, going to land on Noodles for 2, looking like the first blood might come out as the flurry of arrows is going to land onto him, flash in Daybreak, but the first blood happens in the mid lane as the Jax is able to take it down, but the bullet time comes through, and that's going to be the MF securing the kill in return for the Seraphine, so we get 2 for 2 in both the mid lane and bot.
You see how destructive this combo can be bot lane, how much CC they have at their disposal. Noodles for 2 just has a level disadvantage. That means that they have both ultimates available. The cleanse comes through right away, and they turn targets knowing the tenacity is too high on Misfortune. DeBay, bit of a misplay here. I think they could have just kept walking up, gotten that kill, and not had to go under turret range. And then Efron, good job switching focus as well. I think the Zenith Blade, maybe they thought they were playing Camille for a second, could hook shot over the wall. But in the mid lane, that 1-for-1 is so in favor of Locke. You know, he does not really care about giving over assist gold to the Aurora. That extra kills worth of gold, 2 stacks on the Dark Seal, gonna be huge, and this could be awful for Noodles because
Sion looking for Noodles for 2, and Efron has to run away. Locke going over the wall. Noodles for 2 looking like the target as the Risen walks down from the mid lane, gonna be able to take that kill. Aurora gonna have to just try to push this wave under the turret, maybe secure a plate. If they can, yes, they can, and then just back off. That was an insane roam from the Risen, and that's going to be very well done for the side of Conduit. But that's just unfortunate for Dorado Gaming as they continue to, it feels like as if not get as much involvement from their jungler on the map. Sion already has been down there, down on the bot side twice, actually. And so it's already led to them getting 2 kills, and it might just lead to more disadvantages for the side of Dorado Gaming if they keep having this attention to the bot lane, keep going towards their side. As we get Sunrise fighting with the clone for the Wukong, as Nasion really wants to try to secure this Infernal Drake. And with the team starting to stack around it now, both bot laners down bot side, they should be roaming up soon. Noodles for 2 walking into the brush, not being able to see the other members, gonna be able to land the beat drop there, double one onto the Scion. But now both of these teams are kind of now just scattered as the Drake is gonna be potentially started up.
It doesn't seem like they have a real good idea of how they want to execute this second dragon of the game. Both top laners do have teleport at their disposal, but yeah, I mean, you can see already Conduit, they're not really sure how they want to set it up. Dorado aren't sure how they want to take control over just clearing some wards out. Aurora doing an excellent job just marking Locke out of this river fight. Only thing that concerns me is I think Locke could do a ton of damage right now.
And it's going in as Solo Ghost is continuing the fight. Noodles for 2 coming in to try to help out their mid laner. Chasing down, tried to land the beat drop onto the Locke. Not going to be able to land that. Nasion, though, over the wall, potentially could go in. Efron down bot, though, all by himself. And I'm feeling that there potentially could be a dive coming in, but Noodles for 2 making his way down towards bot lane.
Yeah, I think that Conduit has to feel more confident in the champs that they have drafted. There's so much CC at their disposal, even when they're just walking in the river and they have...
Oh, Cali G goes in, slice dice, trying to get the stun, forcing Stubby right back under his turret in the middle of the recall. But Nasion is here as Sunrise makes his way to bullet time. Solar Flare gonna land all over Enchanted Crystal Arrow, jumping on top. Efron gonna be the first slain down in the bot side as they continue to go in the fight. This is gonna be the land as Zenith Blade goes in, Shielded Daybreak comes down. DeBay gonna get that second kill. Noodles for 2, the only one left alive, but that's 2 more kills over to the side of Conduit, and that's a Drake being given over to them as well.
This is what I'm talking about. The confidence Conduit should be playing with. They get hit by everything. Double encore, hit by the beat drop, high notes. They're taking so much damage from bullet time. And once the Cyclone comes out, you follow it up with the Zenith Blade, you follow it up with an Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Everyone is slowed, and they just can't compete with the amount of CC. It doesn't matter how much AoE damage that Dorado can put down because they just can't move once they do all of it. And in the top lane, meanwhile, Stubby was continuing to fight with this level disadvantage, and Cali G having the 2-point ultimate ended up resulting in a dive. I believe they flashed right on top and just, yeah, one-shot them.
That's just so unfortunate. This is kind of what I was expecting from the Renekton matchup. I've always known Renekton to be one of those ones where it's like, you can't, even if you go Gnar into the matchup, you can't expect yourself to think that you're going to immediately come out the winner. And I feel that Renekton has always just been that ultimate lane bully, as up in the top side, going to be fighting Stubby. Stubby going to be able to use the Gnar shove into the wall, forcing Cali G away. As Noodles for 2, it's up there. Nasion, though, Risen chasing down Solo Ghost. Solo Ghost, though, going to land a lot of the damage, and it's a 1-for-1 kill with an assist going over to Nasion as Solo Ghost and Risen take each other out.
Yep, that's the result of not enough games played on the Lock. If they had activated the Soul Ignition and got that gray health back, they would have lived. But, you know, new champ, we give some grief there. But also, good job knowing that they had the damage to go in there and get that kill, as Efron still withstanding a ton of pressure under turret. Gets a 90-degree double tap onto both of those laners. And I'm really surprised that Conduit hasn't sent Fatal Bloom top, at least for like a second, to try and recover this top matchup a little bit. It wouldn't take much to just try and push the Renekton out of lane, give Gnar a lane or a wave or two of CS. As you see, he's just getting destroyed.
Getting pushed under tower. Cali G was just chasing him down and just beating him up. Like, he didn't even have to do anything. He doesn't have flash. He didn't try to slice in. I think they know that potentially Nasayon could be up here as they walk up, wants to try to absorb some of this wave and prevent it from just crashing into the tower, allowing, you know, just kind of just free damage onto it from Cali G, as Nasayon now wants to fight back, but this Renekton is a croc that's kind of feeding, and he kind of fed, and he doesn't want to let you go, but Cali G might not be able to take him. The Cyclone comes out, gonna be able to land the CC as the Risen is able to take out the final kill, 4th kill, going over to the Risen. 420 Blaze, it is the lock as he walks away with that 4th kill added to his repertoire, and it's gonna be CPX going up in the lead with 2K up at 16 minutes.
Yeah, it's a good thing he went up there, because as you saw, even though it was a full health Wukong versus like a 5th health Renekton, that 3-level advantage, the difference in damage and healing that Renekton has at their disposal, Wukong would have died in that 1v1, but the Risen goes up, puts down a ton of damage, and you see the potential Locke has. Didn't even get all those ritual nails put in, but could just put out so much burst. Didn't even have to use that Purgatory, the ultimate, as, ooh, good bullet time. They're going to run him down. Oh, double flash.
Flash into the Encore, not going to be able to land it though. Double beat drop going to land, be able to stop them for just a moment, but the Zenith Blade going to take them out as the far range Solar Flare going to be able to find the Misfortune. Next kill going over to the Wukong as they take out the bot laners of the side of Dorado Gaming, and this is just looking like more and more of a game going away from them as CPX find the picks onto the bot lane.
They are playing with that confidence that we spoke of earlier. They see a target, they're able to fully execute, get all their damage and CC down. Now Cali G in a bit more of a bad matchup for him now.
Just getting ganked and just taking out Nasayon, going on a killing spree, looking absolutely insane on this Wukong. Just feels like he's absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, it looks like they've decided to start playing. They took the gloves off. They said, all right, we played it slow for a little while. Now we're going all out. Good cross map attempt here by Sunray.
Risen going in, trying to see if he can find a little bit of a flank off. Does get a lot of damage dealt onto him. Risen, though, nearly taken out. And just get the arrow going to land onto the Jax as he goes onto a killing spree. Risen able to walk away out of that fight alive, but barely. Solo Ghost uses the in-between worlds, not going to find a single target with it. Decides to back off. Dorado Gaming Iota continues to fall behind in this game 1 as the lead now extends to about 4K.
Forced the smite out of Wukong to pick up that Scuttle Crab. It was the first charge of smite, so he's going to have it for the Dragon. Soul Point likely to be acquired by Conduit here. Stubby coming all the way down. This would be a good time to swap the map. This Renekton is really the only point for Dorado Gaming where they can find a consistent advantage. And if they get Gnar out of here and just put the Ashe Leona up there, or like have Leona and Locke go up top and have Leona just kind of hover between mid and top lane, they could do a really good job trying to get this lead down. And actually, instead, they're just going to die bot.
Oh, wait, Solar Ghost going to be able to use their invisibility, get away, but the Risen continues to chase down Soul of Ghost as those nails just continue to land into them, trying to get that extra bit of damage. Efron here in the mid lane, though, wants to push that wave and really wants to try to get this mid tower and gain some more ground for them in this bot side as the Risen is going in on top of Solar Ghost, but decides to back off as Noodles for 2 is there to be able to defend their mid laner, and that could have been a really bad 1v2 for the Risen, but honestly, I never considered this, how much of a side lane threat that Locke actually can be, as well as the Encore almost lands, but instead it's going to be the blink from the Risen to be used to be able to dodge out on that. That ability feels so unfair.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't blame the devs at this point. Oh, he stayed too long.
Oh, yep, that's unfortunate that Sunray's gonna be able to get that shut down. You really wanted to see that on your mid laner, on this Aurora, but that's okay right now. At least you guys got the gold is put back into your pocket. Still a 4K gold lead for the side of CPX though, so they're at least keeping their lead right now. It's a 5 to 11 kill game. They're still pushing down these turrets. CPX now takes the mid tier 1 down, and they feel like it just can't push it. It just feels like the side of Dorado Gaming Iota just can't push into them at all, because the moment that they try to do any kind of engage, it's just going to be countered. As Stubby though is being chased down by Cali G, able to take a bit of damage off to him. The Cyclone going to come out from the Scion as Cali G is now having to walk away. Bullet Time going to be dropping a lot of damage onto Stubby and the Scion, but it's not going to be enough. And Twisted Crystal Arrow going to miss its mark as it doesn't find the target. Solar Ghost looking for somebody off on the backside as they do see the Gnar go in, able to use the Gnar and try to get the stun, but this is it out. Now Solar Flare going to drop onto them as Sunrise is going to be able to take that kill. Fatal Bloom in the middle. Multiple members is Noodle for 2 is going to be able to lock him down. They're continuing down the chase as Fatal Bloom has to try to tank up a lot of the damage. The Scion off to the side. Blast Cone going away as the shutdown goes over to Solar Ghost, and they continue down the chase. Actually, they're going to back off as they are able to win off that fight. Dorado Gaming still have signs of life in this game. They're not giving up just yet.
Like a bit miscommunication.
Gonna be able to take him out.
Fully climbing back into this matchup. I feel like a big miscommunication from Conduit. They had them all collapsed into that blue jungle corridor. If they had just used that Stubby Gnar ult a little better, then they maybe could have won that fight, as we'll see in the replay. The beginning of this fight, you know, goes perfectly well. They're able to turn onto Renekton. They're able to get out of the Misfortune ultimate. You know, maybe Nasion should have held that second charge of the Cyclone. But look here, I mean, they're all just cornered in here, but Stubby uses the ult a little too early, and Nasion, I think maybe even like DCs accidentally, or maybe he's trying to pretend he's a clone. I don't know what's going on there, but here the Purgatory goes out. This is where they could have maybe had the opportunity to turn if they had been in the best position, but instead they give an opportunity for Dorado to get some gold back. The shutdown on the Scion was very large and went into the pocket of Soul of Ghost. So did the kill for the Leona. This Aurora now going to be a massive problem, and that's the way that Dorado are going to have to play out these fights. They don't have any engage tools really, other than hitting a long encore. So the turn is going to have to be where they win most of their fights.
And it's funny because during that replay, there was, if people were watching the picture-in-picture, we saw a small little skirmish happen down the bot side between Derizen and Solo Ghost, and actually the Aurora immediately came out on top, barely taking any damage whatsoever, as Derizen was forced to flash out away from Aurora. So we're seeing, even with the 7-3 advantage versus the 3-1 advantage, we do also see the 40 farm advantage is making a difference here, plus the extra shutdown goal going over to the Aurora, as they're actually 700 gold up on top of Lock right now in this current moment. And this has immediately brought that lead down to about 1.6k. So we actually could see, and Twisted Crystal Arrow gonna miss that far range engage tool, not gonna be there now, as Jax jumps in on top of the Risen. They're continuing down the chase as he's gonna be able to use the W to try to get the extra health back. Now they're looking for the re-engage. Both teams though right here could potentially open up the game massively for either one, depending on how this team fight goes, especially with the Drake coming up in 3 seconds. CPX want to secure this soul, but the setup from DOGI, as they're able to push in Sunray, looking to go in as Gnar is trying to come in. Derizen though is behind multiple members as he does find Cali G off on the top side. Gnar though not going to be able to hop in and utilize the Mega Gnar. Once that is down, they're not going to have that additional tool either. CPX could now be at a disadvantage in this fight if it does so go forward.
I mean, they just won't pull the trigger. They just don't know where to go. Sunray finally goes in.
Here it is, the big encore in between worlds. Cali G gonna be able to take out the first target as the Risen is gonna be taken out. That's huge amount of damage. That's gonna get the double kill. Cali G on the Renekton, showing why he is so fat. Bullet Time gonna come out, but not gonna be able to land any members, as the first Drake for the side of DOGI is potentially going to be secured. But Nasion does still have something to say about it. Does have Smite up, doesn't have the flash, but should be able to use the clone to get over the wall if he had vision. But Solar Ghost is here, and so is Cali G to go ahead and stop this Wukong from being able to get into the pit. It's only the first Drake for DOGI, so Nasion, you shouldn't give up your life to potentially try to steal it, as they're going to continue to chase this Wukong out. He's trying to back and uses the clone over the wall. The chase is hilarious. It feels like the whole like Benny Hill thing where they're just like the music with the trumpets going behind. They're just trying to get him down, but Efron just landing each auto over and over. Nasion, no way you're gonna make the grand escape. Cali G does know where he's at, and I think the rest of the members know too. Sunray though, now stopping the red, continuing this chase. This is hilarious. Good job, Nasion. So freaking tricky to be able to get out of that situation, but that also means that with all those members down bot side, they don't even know that this Baron has been started. That distraction has been absolutely insane, but they do get a whiff of it as they do go up towards this top side. Solar Ghost does say out the multiple members, tries to hop in, and they manage to land a Solar Flare, stopping Solar Ghost from being able to go in. They secure the Baron, but now he's going to be able to get a kill as he takes out the Wukong with the in between worlds as they go on a rampage. Gnar having to hop out. They managed to get the Baron, but how many of them are going to be able to get out? Fatal Bloom looking like they're going to be the sacrificial lamb for the rest of the team to get away with this Baron buff, as they were able to barely steal it away, but they don't know that the Gnar is still there. Stubby now having to try to walk away, getting hit by the beat drop. The Encore gonna barely miss onto him. Cali G goes to the killing spree, taking out Fatal Bloom on the Leona, but the Baron was still secured by the side of CPX, but it still didn't surmount to much, as the gold lead still sits on the side now of Dorado Gaming Iota.
That was a crazy call to go for that Baron, but it does work out in the end. They get it on 3 members, as control of this game is slipping away from Conduit. They still have the better team composition, but they just aren't pulling the trigger. I mean, that entire dragon dance that they went through. I mean, Gnar was sitting over the wall with a full bar, could have easily jumped it and just ulted 4 members into a wall, followed up by a Cyclone, followed up by a Solar Flare, a Purgatory, but they just aren't going for it. And what ends up being the initiation for Dorado is a flash counter-strike from Jax onto 2 members, as Noodles for 2 caught out.
Not gonna get the Eternal Crimson Arrow, forced the flash over the wall, able to get away. 2 ultimates used for the flash of the Seraphine. I think for them that's worth it, because that'll be a nice target to go after later for the side of CPX. Cali G now though has Baron Power Minutes pushing into him. Derizen though wants the 1v1 get back onto Solar Ghost, nearly takes him out, using them between worlds to get away. This matchup is a lot more even off on the side lanes between these two, depending on who gets on to who first.
Yeah, now we're seeing the effects of the power farming from Jax coming through. This is a very dangerous champion at the moment. Misfortune doing their best to just wave clear up on this side. They've pushed in all 3 of these lanes, which is going to make it a bit more difficult for Dorado to really hold on to any power, any vision control in these areas. Fortunately, there is no objective on this top side for quite some time, but 1.5 minutes until the next dragon spawns would be soul for Conduit. That seems to be their priority, pushing in the mid lane, going over to the bottom side of the map would be the move. Actually, looks like they're going to try and take down this top tower. Might dive the Aurora, but she has access to in-between worlds.
Derizen though, gonna be absolutely slain from behind. The flank didn't work, and now Solar Ghost wants to continue to go in, and Sunray tries to go in too. The blue team top tier 2 gonna be taken out, but is that enough as Cali G is going in? Stubby looking like they're gonna be the first target taken down, as Fatal Bloom is for the fast over the wall. Solar Ghost is dominating. The Bay looking like the next target, trying to find him. Solar Ghost doesn't see the Ashe running for their life though. Fatal Bloom and the Bay, the only members left on the side of CPX, as Dorado Gaming showing that they still got so much to fight for, but Cali G finds the enemy team support, and it's just so unfortunate. You're only a Leona, there's only so much you can do. Attempt to fight. Shield of Daybreak only stalls the inevitable as they continue down the chase, slice and dice onto him. Zenith Blades back to the Seraphine, but it isn't enough. Cali G is on a rampage.
Again, it's just a lack of communication. Locke goes behind the turret thinking we can just blow up the Aurora, but there is no enchanted crystal arrow to come out, no solar flare. He just dies way behind enemy lines. They have to get on the same page. This game is quickly falling out of their reach. They still have all the same tools, but with this Ocean Dragon spawning, they can afford to just give this up. It's second dragon for Dorado, not the end of the world. But, you know, being down with like 700, 600 gold while you're up 2 turrets, 3 grubs, you've got a dragon advantage still, you know, you have the team fight advantage on paper. They've got to figure out the best way to play these fights. The key factor that they're not really tapping into is this Ashe is incredibly strong right now. I'd say that they're very far ahead of Misfortune. Misfortune does have some very strong, expensive-looking items, but the way they synergize together, not as good as Ashe right now. Puts out so much DPS once the Ranger's focus is activated. So they've got to try and let DeBay get some uptime as Derizen going for a fight on the Renekton that they do not win.
Man, and Derizen is not looking like it's going to be a well enough fight as the Assassin can't fight the Bruiser. And Chester puts the arrow gonna miss as Kali G is able to take Derizen out in that 1v1 and is now looking for Stubby as the next target. Going to use the Gnar to be able to shove the bot lane into the wall, but it's not going to be enough as Efron going to use the Collector to be able to take out Stubby. That's 2 kills over to the side of DOGI. These guys are in this game and they are firmly now giving themselves the lead, finally giving themselves about 2k up here for the first time in the whole game.
I mean, I sound like a broken record, I know, but the communication just not there, as Zion is going to take a ton of damage, get chunked off of their own Krugs here. Flashes as well. I don't even know if that was it. I mean, they are playing scared right now, understandably so. 10 stacks on the Dark Seal for Soul of Ghost. Fully online is this Aurora Shadow Flame completed, has the Zanyas, and I mean, this Love Tap auto would do so much damage to the Bay if it lands. Baron is up now. Control of the top side is in Dorado's favor. Nasion, again, gets like a huge chunk of damage. Miss, oh, never mind, Aurora missed everything.
Soul of Ghost immediately scared by Derizen there, I guess. Seeing the sight of the lock, decides to use the in-between worlds to be able to get themselves away. But that big tool, not there. As a Solar Flare, gonna land onto the Seraphine. Noodles of 2 looking like they're gonna be the target that ends up getting taken out, but flashes away before the Encore could come down. Derizen gonna be able to take them out as Efron gets the kill onto the Ashe, and now more damage is coming down to Soul of Ghost. Goes godlike. The Jax gonna be able to take out Nars. They go on the killing spree, continuing down the chases. Double kills goes over for Soul of Ghost, but the ace coming out from Kali G as Noodles for 2 is the sole death on the side of Dorado Gaming Iota, and they're gonna start barreling down this mid lane. Every member on the side of CPX immediately taking out. 5,000 gold is the lead for the side of Dorado Gaming Iota. It looked like the game in the beginning was not looking like theirs, but instead in the end they kept their mental up, they pushed forward, and it's looking like they are actually going to take this game 1. 7 seconds left on the Bay, 5 seconds left on Fatal Bloom. Can they make the run before the Nexus goes down? And the answer is no. Game 1 goes to Dorado Gaming Iota.
Really impressive from them. You know, we talked about it in the draft. Outplay was going to have to be their strategy, and they're able to pull it off. 33,000 damage for the Aurora, 8, 1, and 9. Incredibly well done. For me, though, MVP gonna be Kali G. Did so well early in the game, was like that one shining beacon, and then kept that momentum going through, found picks on the side lane. And you see in that last fight, like, Dorado lose Noodles right away. Conduit do what they're supposed to do, they get the pick, and then Kali just appears right in the middle of them, destroys the Ashe, and just barrels through. There's no one who can possibly kill him. Really the mechanism that they use to keep in this game and win it.
I really do like the fact that a stabilized top lane can definitely make your team feel a lot more stabilized. Cali G, like you said, was that shining factor for this game one that allowed for the rest of the team to kind of just be like, hey guys, we can still do this. Like, our Renekton is actually beating the living crap out this Gnar. The Gnar unfortunately going 0-6 and being the person who actually did the most damage for their team. That just kind of feels unfortunate when you kind of look down at those stats, because now you're looking at how much like Solar Ghost outdamaged the enemy side. Actually, Misfortune even managed to outdamage the Ashe, and we were talking about how the Ashe was supposed to be damning out to these, we're going to be able to dish out a bit more damage with the items that they were building initially. So it's like, where I'm sure that the side of CPX is looking at this and going like, yo, like we honestly picked a really good draft comp. Like, where did it all go wrong? And it's not like that the team played badly. They actually did pretty well for themselves. I just feel that there's just something just happened in the mid to late game that just did not allow them to win it. So with that much said, guys, we should be going into game two very, very soon, but don't go anywhere. Are Dorado Gaming actually going to be able to secure themselves playoff in this next game, or are CPX going to come back fighting as hard as they can to try to dash those dreams that Dorado Gaming Iota have for themselves? So don't go anywhere. This is the Conqueror League here on this Wednesday night for Titan Esports NA, and we will see you guys soon coming up for game two. And welcome back, everybody, to Titan Esports Conqueror League. Once again, I am Malco, joined today for a awesome and actually really analytical guy right here is Jack on the color casting. As you guys might be joining us right now, we have just seen an absolute surprising turnaround game by the side of Dorado Gaming Iota to be able to take game 1 against Conduit Esports Phoenix. And it was honestly such a surprise because in the beginning, Dorado and Nasayan absolutely running the map with the constant roams down toward the bot side, trying to put the bot side of Dorado Gaming behind. But instead, it was the backs of Cali G and Soul of Ghost who were able to carry off the top and mid lane to bring Dorado Gaming Iota to the victory, as Efron and Noodles for 2 were also able to play pretty well back. A lot of the fights, like they would find Noodles for 2, and yeah, they get rid of that Seraphine, but the rest of the members of Dorado Gaming Iota were able to follow up very, very well and be able to get themselves to the victory in that game 1 by utilizing a 1-for-5 ace to end it all. So Jack, I would like to say before we get into draft, how are you feeling right now about these two teams, and what are you looking forward to in game 2?
I think Conduit would have to start playing more comfort. I mean, early in game 1, they were winning fights and trades based off of the threat of what their champions could do, and then Dorado kind of got the whiff that like, oh, I don't think they actually are going to do what their champs can do, and then they just ran them over. So I want them to look less at like how's our 5v5 look if we draft this. I want them to look at like how does our lane look. If we can come away with 3 winning lanes, 3 comfortable matchups across the map, then we can transition that into a win, because they just looked like they weren't entirely sure how to execute those most crucial fights. And by the time they actually found a target, that last ace that you're talking about, it was far too late. Cali G was so far ahead. Soul of Ghost was so far ahead, and they were able to just turn it and flip it. So I want them to really prioritize winning matchups and look for counter picks and try to just get early ahead in this game.
It was just so unfortunate because CPX had such a they built a really decent lead for themselves. I believe at one point they were about maybe 5,000 gold up before trying to get, like, they tried to sneak around that Baron. Then when the Scion was just running around the map and trying to distract as much as possible from DOGI, and that is where I feel the turning point of the game happened. Yes, they managed to secure the Baron, but they ended up losing 2 members on that side at the very moment of that fight, and I think that's when DOGI was like, all right, they were like, okay, we can do something here. They lost 2 members of the Baron. It feels like that we're actually starting to take more advantages into these fights, and I think that once the Iota actually got an iota of a semblance of the game being in their favor, they immediately took it and ran with it. Cali G was just so large, they couldn't be able to get rid of them, and Soul of Ghost, like you said, so far ahead, just immediately deleting anybody that they found with the in-between worlds on that Aurora. And so that allowed for, honestly, the Aurora utilizing that ultimate actually gave Efron a lot of ability to space themselves out and get some decent bullet times that even if it didn't actually hit any targets, it forced them to disperse, and utilizing that spacing did allow them to then just pick out members one by one, and then CPX just could not fight back. So as we get into draft for game 2, I'm hoping to see that CPX are able to fight back, as you said, put them on comfort and see if they're able to utilize the comfort picks and maybe bring back a little bit more life into themselves, because again, the beginning of game 1, it really looked like it was CPX's game to lose, especially with themselves being on Soul Point, almost being able to secure the Ocean Soul, which would have definitely given them a little bit more of an advantage. But instead, it was DOGI still keeping the mental up, still keeping the fingers up, and being able to outmaneuver CPX in that late game and give themselves the advantage. As we do see here, though, a lot of the bans are looking like the same from game 1, as we had the Orn the Hui being the first 2 bans for the side of Dorado Gaming Iota, and the Nico Oriana being the first 2 bans as well from the side of CPX. So it's looking like we're seeing a lot of the same repeat bans from both of these 2 teams, as they don't want to allow those comfort champions that either one of these 2 sides want to see, with the one new ban being the victor from the side of Dorado Gaming Iota. And we're thinking maybe potentially CPX could go for another new one, but no, it's also going to be the Mel band here from the side of CPX, as that champion is still so damn broken.
Mel was banned last time by Dorado, so maybe they were looking to try and grab that up first. They didn't want to take it. Ziggs, a fantastic first pick, you're flexing it. It can go in the AD carry position, can go mid lane. Very strong, safe pick that can fall back. I was going to suggest that they go with an early jungle blind, like a Jarvan or a Nocturne, to try and force Conduit to draft a certain way. So I know a lot of times you do all this prep. You say, oh, we're going to go in the draft, we're going to do this, and then they first pick Jarvan, you're like, all right, well, everything we were going to pick is immobile, so we have to pivot now. But I like this response. Xin Zhao does excellent into Ziggs. Ahri can maneuver very well if that is the mid lane matchup. But Dorado still have angles. Poppy is a great pickup to go with it. Not only does it stop a lot of what Xin Zhao and Ahri want to do, but it is just such a powerful champion when put in the support role in team fights. This champ can do so much work, and the Syndra being picked up does almost guarantee that Ziggs will be going bot lane. Only concern now is on the second phase of the bans, you can get rid of a lot of AD threats that they're going to need to go for, as Thresh going to be the support that is picked up for Conduit. I'm not really sure where they're going with this. I'm doubting we're going to see some sort of like a Felios come through with the Thresh. So with more support bans coming through, looks like they're pretty confident this Poppy's either going jungle or top.
So, and I actually like the call out for the mid lane jungle matchup that you brought up, because the Xin Zhao nowadays, like the Xin Zhao Ahri combination, kind of reminds me of the old Renekton Nidalee days. The charm lands onto the charm lands onto the target, immediately allows I think it's the audacious charge, allows them to land the audacious charge, charges and get the 3 talent strike, knock them up, and then they can't get away. So I really do like a lot of this combination. A lot of that damage comes out too, especially from the Ahri once the charm enhances that. I think charm does still enhance the damage from the orb of deception and being able to get a lot more down. So we do see here though, for the last couple of bans, a lot of AD bans from the side of DOGI, as they ban out the Caitlyn and Sivir, which are 2 very nice, comfortable champions that you want in that bot lane, especially when you're down a game. Kind of allows you just to farm and stack up. But we do see potential support bans from the side of CPX. They ban out the Nautilus and Maokai, which could counter the Fatal Bloom on the Thresh, as we get the last 2 picks on that side, as well as we get the support pick for the Bard and the and for Kali G up in that top side. We're gonna get the Zahen in that top lane, and I do believe we do see the final pick here being for Nasai. Is it actually gonna be Skarner top? I'm not sure. This is actually going to be pretty interesting as they get the Skarner. Yeah, it is up in the top side. So Stubby getting a pretty interesting pick for themselves up in that top lane. I have seen Skarner top a couple of times, but not necessarily has been the best matchup in the top lane. So I'm really curious to see how well they're going to be able to play this, especially into something like Zahen, who just wants to be constantly dueling and fighting you. So I'm very curious about these 2 compositions. Very different from the last game. Definitely very different from the last game. For the side of Dorado Gaming, though, the lack of AD damage is a very, it's a little bit worrisome, where we do see from the side of Conduit, they do have that scaling pick in the Jinx. So as long as Jinx doesn't fall too far behind in this game, it seems like this is also the same vein of the Thresh of Felios, like they have the Jinx, and it feels like once she gets to that late game, this is going to be one of those champions that, like, if you can't get to her, it's gonna be a hell of a time. But also though, one thing I've learned is that AP is very, very hard to build against, like at least in the sense of like resistances. So if Ziggs and Syndra get any type of combination onto this Jinx, it's gonna be a hell of a time for her down in that bot side. So I'm excited to see how both of these teams are going to play into one another.
Yeah, so for Stubby and this Skarner, this year, Stubby's played the fewest games of anyone on these teams. He's got 6 Skarner games. He's 3-3 on it in the top lane, but that shows me at least that he knows how to play this champ in top lane. The Gnar was only 4 games. And going into this matchup, I think that Skarner should do okay, at least at mitigating Zahen getting ahead, but that's kind of a problem in and of itself. Zahen's weakest point in the game is early when he struggles to stack up the passive. You want to be able to pressure him at that point. So just being able to get out of the lane isn't necessarily a win. But then for Dorado, I'm not sure how much I love this Bard pick. I really only see its value against the Jinx. And Thresh has a lot of ways to protect Jinx and get her out of that ultimate. I would have liked to see Poppy go bottom. Does well into Thresh, can use that W to prevent him from going in. And then maybe a Nocturne jungle. Doesn't do excellent into Xin Zhao in the 1v1, but would be able to constantly threaten Jinx from anywhere on the map. And personally, I mean, this is my personal philosophy. I think that jungle matchups are kind of fake. I don't think you really need to be worrying as much about like, oh, if we meet in the river, what's gonna happen? Have your mid laner or your support come help you out. So I think that could show some weakness, but at the same time, we had concerns about their draft last game, and we said it's going to have to come down to them outplaying, and what did they do? But they outplayed them. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt in this game and believe that Dorado Gaming has what it takes.
I'm very curious to see like who's more comfortable on what. Like, I really feel that potentially Dorado is playing like champions that they're like, okay, we really need to just kind of throw them off their game, throw them off their head, and see like what do they see? Like, oh, we see the Ziggs bot lane now. Like we see that there's the Syndra mid. I feel that these particular champion picks is more of, hey, what can we do? But we already have a, oh, okay, we're getting the side by side. I was scared. I was like, wait, we already having a replay. What did we miss? But it was a little bit of a duel there in the mid lane that we ended up getting, as a bit of damage was dropped from Solo Ghost onto the Risen on the Ahri, as both of these junglers are gonna do a little red side start. I kind of like this, as I feel that both of these lanes are saying that they know where their focus needs to be, where it's going to be, you need to make sure you give Stubby a little bit more help on the side of CPX. You don't want him to fall behind again behind Cali G like they did in that last game. And for the bot side, for the side of Dorado Gaming, this bot side is actually one that you want to try to get ahead, because the Bay can't be allowed to just farm and stack up on this Jinx. If you go even like 20 minutes against this Jinx, that's not going to be a fun time for either side.
Yeah, they're going to have to find ways to pressure that. Xin Zhao is pretty capable of doing so. The early ganks are a bit underrated, in my opinion, because you can have access from so far away by landing that
Noodles
W.
for two, making the roam flash. Meep's not going to be able to land the Q, but forces the flash out of the Risen there as they make the roam to the mid lane. The Nasion going to make their way as they able to deter any more further shenanigans from this Bard. I do like this, though, because one thing I didn't give props to is Ephraim being able to constantly be left alone in this bot side. That's something that you can't take for granted on your ADCs. It's so nice when they're able to just kind of sustain themselves, and just be like, oh yeah, I can absorb a lot of the extra pressure, and they can 1v2 me the whole time, and I'll be fine under my tower, as we're gonna get the suppression under the tower, and it's gonna be barely in. First blood in the 1v1. Stubby says, what do you mean, Melko? I don't need no jungler's help. And they're able to take the 1v1 that I'm sure Cali G was not expecting to get pushed into the turret. And that's just nicely done by Stubby on the side of CPX.
I can't believe it, that just happened. It was like one of that meme where it's like, yep, that's me. You want to know how I got here? All of a sudden he's turned around, brought underneath the turret, and Stubby flashing to make sure that they get that kill. Does not want a repeat of last game, wants to get ahead, wants to not allow his match or lane opponent to grab another MVP. Now he's crashing a massive wave, going to be able to roam off on the map, maybe get some deep vision for their team. As meanwhile, bottom lane, Efron once again getting a bit of a level advantage. I like the cull purchase from the Bay again, understanding that, they're just not going to be a ton of early game action from their team, same as last game. So just grab the cull, start stacking up. My job is to scale and be a menace later on, and now we actually are going to see a dive come through. The W doesn't land.
For two, not going to be able to land the Q onto either one of those members. The Lantern comes out, able to save the Jinx. Hook gonna land, trying to get the Flay, but the Keeper's Verdict, not the Keeper's Verdict, I'm so sorry. That's gonna be the Steadfast Presence, gonna be able to stop them, but Stubby in the 1v1 might be able to lose it this time if Cali G goes in, but not gonna be able to do so. Does get the passive resurrection off from the Zehen. And so the Steadfast Presence does end up stopping Fatal Bloom from continuing their engage, getting the Flay onto a member, and that could have been the potential death of Sunray right there. But Right now, I do like this from the side of CPX. They are getting that early game advantage that they want here, and not necessarily needing as much engage from the Scion or not as much engagement from the Scion on this map. A lot of these solo laners, as you said, get 3 winning lanes, and they should be able to do something about it. But it is still a farm disadvantage from the two top laners. But Cali G now getting ganked here, does have the level 6 and is probably going to look for Stubby as the target. Stubby looking for the impale, not going to get it, and instead it's going to be Nasion taking that kill off the gank in the top side, and CPX building themselves up a small little lead here 5 minutes in.
Yeah, that all goes back to Stubby's earlier trade. And while, he did leave with very little health, it was actually a massive win for the Skarner because he was able to get rid of that Cultivation of War passive and put it on cooldown so that the gank could be possible. Scion able to come up there, gets a kill. Now the Bramble Vest completed for the Skarner. Going to be nearly impossible for Cali G to try and find any advantages. 2-0 up, over 1,000 gold lead. 6 minutes into the game as Noodles for 2 continuing to look for roams across the map. That's kind of just the support meta right now. You get level 2 or 3 depending on what spells you need, and then you start roaming off on the map. That's another reason that these supports, or the mage AD carries, as Stubby comes flying in, have become so meta, is because they're able to lane without their supports. Is Nasion getting in gameplay button range.
Yeah, that was a lot of damage dropped. Unfortunately, some spells missing doesn't allow them to secure the kill here. As Stubby is coming back up to the lane, both of these top laners still do have their ultimates, so this could be potentially an interesting fight. Cali G, though, still keeping a decent farm advantage over Stubby, so they don't have to feel terribly behind here. But that Bramble Vest already doing work. Cali G not going to be able to sustain as well with the Grievous Wounds constantly being procced onto them. As you guys can see, only a 200 gold lead right now for the top lane at this moment, even with the 1-0-1. But the 20 farm difference is eventually gonna show its head as Cali G continues to fight. Continues to fight as Nasion makes their way. Impale being used, dragging Cali G under the turret. He does have the ultimate if he needs to utilize it for an escape. Nasion does not get within the range for the audacious charge and is gonna have to leave as Noodles for 2 is starting up this Drake. We do see Derizen making their way down on the Ahri, but decides not to continue Sunray now, and is gonna be giving the first Drake up over to Dorado Gaming. Yes, they are a little bit behind here, but at least they're still keeping themselves a little bit more presence on the map. Definitely much better than game 1.
I think Nasion must not have had Winds Becomes Lightning off cooldown, otherwise they would have been easily able to get in range, as Noodles for 2 has been taking this dragon for what feels like forever, but Sunray comes in to secure it. Another Chemtech start. Infernal will be next, and in a bit of a holding pattern right now. Neither jungler really getting out onto the map. Sunray back, got the Tunneler, has that Caulfield's Warhammer, so it would be a pretty obnoxious Yordle if they were to meet somewhere. Now Ziggs going back, possibly to pick up an alternator, start putting out some real damage, but now, I mean, as you see in this top side, Stubby just does not take damage anymore, so Cali G has to just try to focus on farm, maintaining that advantage, as Derizen could be in trouble, has to pop that Spirit Rush. Noodles is here, but I'm not really sure what they can do. Don't have ult yet.
Not much more of a fight gonna come out of there. I do like the fact that that Soul of Ghost did not need to use the unleashed power there. So the Syndra ult is still on the table for if another engage comes out from the Ahri. Ahri doesn't have teleport either, so they're just kind of pushing in, and or they're just kind of having to walk it back. And because of that, they do give the advantage over to the side of Dorado Gaming within the jungle, so they can take up this next objective with the Void Grubs. As Needles for 2 does make their way up towards the top side, is now able to help out Cali G as Stubby is trying to make their walk away back under their turret, but not able to get away as they're constantly slowed down. The ultimate comes out from Cali G as they get impaled and pulled under the tower, but it's not going to be enough. Cali G is able to take that kill and turn it around in the lane with the help of Noodles for 2. Nicely done by the side of Dorado Gaming to finally put themselves on the board. Only 600 gold down at 10 minutes, so they still have something to look forward to. As Ephron left alone a little too long in this bot lane. Jinx continuing to be able to stack. Fatal Bloom looking for a hook to be able to land onto him, but able to get some of the Krugs back away from this Xin Zhao. Nicely done there by Efron to try to trying to mitigate as much away from the side of CPX. Now they're able to walk back to their turret as the Bay able to secure another turret plate on their solo as well, I believe. So that's a lot more gold just being funneled into this Jinx, as they also has a little bit of a farm advantage. But now we're going to get a fight in the mid lane as the ultimate comes out from the Scion. Solo Ghost going to be able to land a Scout of the Week. Unleash Power going to come onto the Risen as he's able to just back away. But Sunray is here, able to use the Keeper's Verdict, going to be able to try to get a little bit of damage down as the Scion trying to walk away. Sunray going to be able to secure that kill as Fatal Bloom makes their way, trying to get the hook. Not going to land it onto the target as Noodles for 2 absorbs the death sentence and then continues to dish out more damage as Sunray is here, waiting to see if any more can be done. The Risen trying to find an opening as Stubby makes their way down, but the fight is over. Top lane is too late to get to this fight, and now they just have to walk it back up as they come out on top for the side of Dorado Gaming. Iota.
A little bit of a fiesta in the mid lane. A lot of stuff going on that really didn't need to be happening. I think my favorite was probably Noodles for 2 with the Savior flash to try and eat the hook that Soul was already dodging and wasn't going to get hit by. But that's a real homie right there. That's the kind of support you want on your team is CaliG. I don't think he should keep fighting because I don't know if he can kill here. I'd want to save my passive if I were him. But he is going to force the flash out.
Yeah, he almost ended up having it there, but I feel like he is pretty confident to be able to fight this. But now with the passive gone, it's going to be, he should end up seeing that they're there, but they don't realize that Sunray and Noodles for 2 are also here as well. And the Scion, once he did get the glimpse of the vision, decides that it's time to back off, but they're looking for the dive here as Noodles for 2 does have the Tempered Fate ready to go. They want to try to dive this. That's going to be the mark landed. Does he want to go in on the Poppy? No, he does not, as the Steadfast Present is up and ready. Noodles with 2 uses the magical journey to go through the wall to escape. The dive has been called off, and it's just allowing more of this Jinx to continue to get the farm up, to continue to stack up. And this is exactly what you did not want for the side of Dorado Gaming. Iota is the free farming Jinx being 20 farm up on your Ziggs at this moment, has a stacked almost call as the Spirit Rush comes out, not going to be able to land any of the targets, any target onto Solo Ghost. So the Risen has to use the Spirit Rush back. Temper Fate gonna be used and misses onto the Ahri, and that's gonna be it for the mid lane fight. I do feel bad for the side of Dorado Gaming as we ended up missing it, but Solo Ghost ends up getting the return kill onto, or not the return kill, but ends up getting the kill in general onto the Risen there in the mid lane, and that's going to be the Syndra now going up 1-0 in this mid side. The Scion here trying to stack up some of this wave. Noodles for 2 and Sunray do see that Fatal Bloom is there, looking for Solo Ghost, doesn't use a death sentence there, as that potentially would be the death sentence for the Thresh the moment they go in, as they converge onto him. And maybe I just called it out too soon, as Fatal Bloom walks into Noodles for 2, gets stunned up and taken to about half HP. That's so unfortunate for the Thresh there. And now we do see up in this top side, as the Trinity Force has been secured by CaliG, it seems like the top side has once again stabilized, and CaliG is able to consistently fight up against Stubby on this Skarner.
Yeah, Thornmail is fully complete, but the Triforce doing its job, allowing the keep going through. The Bay gets caught.
Oh no, the side of Dorado Gaming find the Bay all alone, and they're going to be able to secure the kill with the Drake up. That's going to be the Infernal Drake going over to the side of Dorado Gaming, as we do have the 1v1 happening, and Stubby can't succumb, is going to end up succumbing to the force of CaliG on the Zahen, as the Thornmail means nothing to him. Solo kill up in the top side. Drake secured by Dorado Gaming, and they now take the lead 13 minutes in.
Yeah, Skarner definitely a unique pick into Zahen, but I don't know if I'd go as far as to say it's a counter pick into Zahen, because that Grim Deliverance can be used to just simply dodge the Impale, not get picked up by it, because you go unstoppable when using it. Good knowledge of the champ, and Soul goes, this is a little bit similar to game 1. It's definitely an accelerated game pace for Dorado, but it feels like Conduit have some advantages early on. The Scion was getting a lot of good ganks off. They kill the top lane, and then it just starts to fall apart. Efron was doing
Death
extremely well on
sentence,
this
the
weak
box
side.
comes in, audacious charge, goes immediately in, and that's the Bay securing their first kill on this Jinx into the game. They get revenge on them. They first found the Jinx all alone, they find Ziggs all alone this time, and Efron not able to absorb all that pressure, gets taken and sent to the gray screen as they now bring the goal lead back to within 1,000 as the Hen makes their way down towards this bot side, trying to go in, but is deflected by the Flay. The ultimate coming out from the Scions. They continue down the chase, able to knock up Noodles for 2 as he tries to walk away, use the Temper Fate to put them both into stasis, but the Chompers drop onto him. The Bay gets their second kill of the game as Cali G is all alone, surrounded by 4 different members, goes in with the ultimate, is able to take out Fatal Bloom as they go on a killing spree. Just continuing down the chase as the mid lane turret is gonna be able to fall, or another mid lane turret is gonna fall, but then the double kill goes over to Cali G as they're continuing this 1v4. Efron now here in the Scion deciding that he have to stop the chase, but Solo Ghost is gonna be able to find their target. Scatter the Weak gonna land onto the Scion. Solo Ghost gonna be able to secure that cleanup kill, and that is 3 kills over to the side of DOGI off the absolute solo raid boss back of the Zahen and Cali G.
Cali G does not care how many members you bring. Don't tell him the odds. He's going to find a way to win no matter what. Efron now finding another manager. Sunray, how did you get back there?
Risen! That's so unfortunate. Heroic charge into the stun. Gonna lead you up against the wall, but Efron looking like they're gonna be the sacrificial target as the Jinx secures another kill. But that's gonna be a 1-for-1 in the mid lane. But right here, we do have Cali G looking for the 1v1 against Stubby and says that I can take it. Looking for the second plate. Gets under from the turret range. Stubby now looking to try to bring him in and continue this fight, but gets the impale onto Cali G, continues to fight and flashes in on top of him, and the solo kill once again goes over to Stubby this time as they were able to utilize some of that extra turret damage. Cali G thought they could fight their way out but wasn't able to do so, but let's see how things change if once they have this Gore Drinker in hand.
Yeah, we are looking at a replay here of how Deciron ends up getting caught. Efron just sees the low health bar, wants to chase all the way in, but Sunray was doing a little bit of counter jungling, right place, right time. That steadfast presence grounds the Ahri as they try to spirit rush away. Able to pick them up at the Bay. Another right place, right time situation. Fatal Bloom able to lantern them in so they can get a kill onto Efron. Efron did such a good job for so long absorbing on the weak side of the map, so I feel like you can't fully blame them as, oh no, the Ixtal's impact is canceled.
Sunray gonna find Stubby into the wall. Cali G fed another kill off the back of the insane Poppy this game, I have to say. Right now, Dorado Gaming, I have to give them props because they are really fighting a war right now. They know that this is do or die. They know they need to end these games, and they are right now pushing so hard. Only 1 turret taken from their side right now, and it's actually not as important right now as they've been able to secure the bot lane a lot, where it feels like when you got the top lane turret taken and right now them beating into your mid lane, it just feels way more, it feels like a much harder game to play once these side lanes get opened. And right now the Zahen is beating down that bot lane turret as well. So once this side lane pressure gets steeped up a little bit, it's going to be hard for the side of CPX to really fight into them. Like, who do they really send? Stubby can't really fight the Zahen at all. No, Ahri's not going to be able to fight Zahen really at all either. And then the rest of the team converges. What do? The Charm going to miss. The Scatter of the Weak, though, going to land. Force the flash out of Fatal Bloom. Going to be able to continue down the chase. Stubby over the wall looking for the next target as the Risen is trying to find. Foxfire being used. Another one of the Dark Spheres drops onto the ground. Now the target is on the way is going to be the Tempered Fate as Sunray gets hit by it, but no other targets. Charm not going to be able to land onto any other members. The continued extended fight as multiple members are looking for their angle, especially with this Drake up in 6 seconds. A Mountain Soul will be absolutely insane for Zahen and for Poppy to have as they do find the target, knocks him up. Airborne is the Scion trying to get away, barely any HP left, but the ultimate able to keep them alive. Cali G going in. Efron though with the Super Mega Inferno. I'm gonna be able to find the target off the backside. Is Cali G gonna be able to take out the Bay, continuing down? And Stubby's gonna be the next target. Noodle for 2 gonna be able to secure the kill. Is Fatal Bloom not gonna be able to find the death sentence, and is not gonna be able to find any targets. That's gonna be CPX taking down them, and they're not gonna be able to look down the barrel of DOGI. They thought they had the angle, they thought they had the fight, and instead it is the Dorado Gaming Iota taking them down. First, tier 1 mid tower gonna drop. Tier 2 gonna drop. And they're gonna continue down this game. The Drake, the next target, Dorado Gaming, absolutely taking control.
These scatter the weeks have been so incredible. Everyone hitting multiple members of Conduit. They now are able to peel back, grab Soul Point for themselves. They're just playing so well, so coordinated, managing to focus targets extremely well. They want to try and fight for this, but they gotta be very careful. And the Scion going to be able to find an angle onto the Dragon.
Scion, though, going to be the first target. Is Efron going to be able to secure that kill? Stubby now looking like the next one is Fatal Bloom trying to get away. Blue team going to be able to take out the Mountain Drake as they look for the next person. But Solar Ghost nearly taken out off on the back end as the Fatal Bloom going to fall. Stubby now surrounded by 3 different members on the side of Dorado Gaming and is looking like he can't get away. He tries to push them into a little bit more, but Efron goes on a killing spree as he's able to take that one with the bouncing bomb. Only 2 members left on the side of CPX as it's the Ari and the Jinx. They won't be able to get the fight. They won't be able to help secure down the damage. It is just feeling like it is too surmountable. 7,000 gold up, 20 minutes in. This is not where you want to be for Conduit Esports.
No, absolutely not. Especially considering there's no real end in sight. Yeah, sure, Jinx does scale quite well, has the Infinity Edge in pocket, but Syndra is no slouch themselves. The Hen sitting on 2 items, about to get their 3rd. Poppy's going to start building tank. It's going to be extremely hard for them to kill this Yordle at any point, and Ziggs is only to get more and more annoying as Noodles is just trying to prevent backs, trying to freeze the lane a little bit down here. Big shout out to Efron. I mean, he's been absorbing so much pressure, did die a couple of times, but did so allowing his team to make massive plays across the map. Doesn't look like Baron is necessarily the focus as the Mega Inferno Bomb will go out onto Fatal Bloom. Just looks like they're trying to set up in case they want to go for it, they can.
I was gonna say, I feel like right now they're just baiting them into a trap, like trying to put the pressure onto them. Like, okay, like they are like, I can tell. I'm sure that like Conduit Esports feels the pressure right now. They know that they're behind right now, especially with the way that this Syndra is doing damage. If you guys peeped for a quick moment, literally more than a third, maybe like honestly almost half HP gone just from a Scatter the Weak Dark Sphere combo from Syndra alone. Plus the combination of the bouncing bomb from the Ziggs brought Fatal Bloom to near death. And that was actually, that's just enough to show you right now how far ahead they are as they're going to get charged to the wall, knocked back, knocked in, and it's going to be Cali G on a rampage. The life of the Ari has been slain. Death Sentence, though, going to be able to find a target as Soul of Ghost, going to be trapped inside the box, able to get the Scatter of the Weak on the multiple targets as they try to utilize the Impale, but the shutdown of the Syndra is going over to the Jinx. Noodle for 2 is left all alone. The bot lane, though, being barreled in, he just has to distract the members on the side of CPX, but they do find the Death Sentence. They able to land the target. Another shutdown given over to the Jinx, and the Baron looking like it's going to be the target for the side of CPX. Yes, you may be able to get this Baron, but your bot lane has been immediately pushed in. The Bay looking like they might die to the Baron as the inhibitor for the bot side gets taken. Jinx nearly taken down by the Baron there as we look into 3,000 HP left. Sunray gonna knock them in and is not able to get the Baron as he goes into multiple members, but is looking like he might be able to get these kills. Scion going to be the first one as Sunray goes on a rampage, finding Fatal Bloom, looking down to chase, and as Stubby is trying to get away. Scatter the Weak gonna land onto him as Poppy goes on a killing spree. Stubby trying to get over the wall, but it's not gonna be enough as the Unleashed power comes to slay your life. Solar Ghost takes another kill, and it's looking like 3 members drop. Was the Baron worth it? No, as they continue to barrel down into this mid lane, into the top lane. More towers continue to drop as Cali G and Noodles for 2 are barreling into the mid lane. You are being split up. There's nothing you can do. CPX is looking like they possibly could lose the game.
They get triple inhibbed off of getting Baron themselves. Great job by Efron and Sunray to contest the Baron, get back onto the map. Same with Cali G keeping to push that bot lane. You know, it's unfortunate you get picked out in the mid, but that is not the end of the game. You got to just keep playing the Scion. Getting picked here has no Crescent Guard, so would take a ton of damage. As Risen taking so much. I said in the draft, they got to pick good lanes. You're a second item Banshee's Veil Ari. It's not really where you want to be.
as they go for a desperation fight here. Temper Fate gonna land onto the
no.
R-Ray, and this is gonna be unfortunate. Get knocked back as the ultimate comes out from Cali G. Goes in, Sunray is dominating as the Jinx is going to be the first target down, and they're continuing, and Stubby's gonna be slain by the unleashed power. Fatal Bloom able to land a death sentence onto Sunray, but it's not gonna be enough as they're taken down to about a quarter HP. Charmed up is Cali G as the Risen gets pulled in and taken down to about a quarter HP, and they're continuing to barrel down into these minions. Your Baron empowered minions can't stand up to the supers though, as the tower continues to go down, more HP being lost, and Cali G goes unstoppable. Fatal Bloom being slain, sent to the gray screen, and the first Nexus tower drops. The best of the minions barreling in, trying to make the last ditch effort, trying to go into Scion, wants to try to save it for his team, but he can't do it. Looking like it's about to be a 2-0 as the Risen is the sole member left alive. Goes over to Nexus, trying to pull them in, get the last kill as they can, as the double kill goes over to Cali G. The Nexus is continuing to drop. The Bay looking like the next target as the Nexus drop before the Jinx gets taken down. You may have not padded the stat pads, you may have not made the score line look any better in the end, but guess what, Dorado Gaming, you just saved your potential playoff berth. Good job and good game, great series.
Dorado Gaming, without an iota of doubt, each of us will get a pun in for this one. Show off even with the subs, playing incredibly well. They knew their win con, they knew how to play it out. And it's funny, I said in the draft for Conduit, it's like, all right, let's pick some better lanes. Let's maybe try and find some spots where we can do well. And it looks like that might have been their focus, but then they didn't win the lanes. So you start getting behind there, it keeps snowballing, and this Ahen just becomes something you cannot deal with. The two mages get so much damage down, and yeah, just really great job by Dorado.
They took this game too and just absolutely ran with it. In the beginning though, again, we saw Conduit following the same steps as game one, where they were actually starting to get themselves a little bit more early game advantage. We even saw Stubby take that solo kill against Cali G, somebody who honestly had his number in the first game, and he was showing that he had a little bit more prowess. As you said, he was 3-3 on the Skarner. He actually had what seemed like a little bit more knowledge on that particular champion to be able to fight a little bit more, and definitely consisted a lot more to the enemy, to the side of CPX. But it was just too much from the rest of the team, because Noodles for Two being on his core JJ type of stuff in his carrier moment, being like, yeah man, I'm gonna be all over the map, I'm gonna be influencing as many lanes as I possibly can, going as far as even going topside consistently to be able to help out Cali G taking down Stubby. And once Cali G got to the Trinity Force, it felt like there was nothing Stubby could do. The Bay may have been able to secure themselves a couple of shutdowns and a couple of kills, but Jinx, unfortunately, is one of those champions where it's like, if they don't get ahead super early, you're not getting really much, especially in a 25-minute game. It's not happening for you, unfortunately. And they just couldn't manage to make this Thresh Jinx work like they were, like, you know, like in a Thresh Aphelios way. And the Risen didn't give us the same performance that they gave us from game one on this Ahri, like they did on the Lock. And so there was just a lot that just did not go the way of Conduit Esports, and unfortunately it led them down to a 2-0 loss.
Yeah, and it's one of the unfortunate parts about drafting a more traditional bottom lane in this meta. You have the Jinx, Thresh. You know, Jinx kind of wants to scale, Thresh kind of wants to fight, but you're playing against the Ziggs. He can 1v2 that lane all day. He just throws spells out, clears the wave, sits under turret. If the jungler comes, he can sit under his inner turret and just throw bombs, maybe collect a couple gold here and there, but they're fine. They've got a Syndra that's scaling. He doesn't have to be the carry. So it's just a bit of an unfortunate situation. And while I did say, you know, I wasn't a huge fan of the Bard, he certainly played it exactly right. As you were saying, I don't need to be here for my support. I can go influence the rest of the map, get them ahead, and Efron will still be able to do a ton throughout the game. And that's exactly what happened. Honorable mention too to Sunray coming in as the sub and just playing out of his mind. The Jax performance was good. This Poppy was excellent, able to get all over the place. Really well done, knew what they were doing in Dorado, you know, staying a big name as an org and Iota as a squad.
And that's definitely a good look for them right now, especially, again, they want to definitely look more like, hey, Efron, if you're somebody who can consistently play like that, I would highly suggest maybe even considering, like, this lineup was actually, this was dope. I know this is like some subs and stuff, but like, come on now. This is actually a dope lineup to play for Dorado Gaming, and it led them down to a 2-0 win, in which, honestly, I thought this would at least be a 2-1 game. It could have went either way, but that game too was so dominating by the side of Dorado gaining Iota, and I think they should honestly they need to be proud of themselves for that because again, you keep your playoff berth alive, you keep your name alive, and for this squad, it's looking like you guys might see more games in your future. So don't like just be ready, keep the practice up, keep playing up your champions, and keep doing what y'all did because damn, that was a damn good performance. But with that much said, guys, thank you all for joining us tonight on Conqueror League here at Titan Esports. I have been Malco, joined tonight by Jack. Once again, brother, thank you so much for joining us on the cast and welcome back to casting. We hope to see a lot more of you very soon. If you do end up subbing with us once again, I will gladly have you on the casting desk any day. If you have any final messages that you want to say, we can go ahead and send it off.
Yeah, I'm just so happy to have the opportunity to come back. Been a couple months, and it's so just as fun as I remember it. And love Titan, love the opportunity, and happy to be here whenever you'll have me. And great series from both teams. Conduit, keep your heads up. You guys still got some games to play. You can still do pretty well at the rest of this league.
Yeah, definitely just try to end the season strong, as strongly as you possibly can. Show that you guys really still have some gas in the tank. And now with all this, there might be a little bit more pressure off. So try to have a little bit more fun with yourselves and just allow yourselves to kind of just, maybe regain some new identity and then come back, with the absolute fire that is Conduit Esports as, rise up like a phoenix again. Just from the ashes, rise up. So with that much said, guys, once again, thank you guys for joining us here at Conqueror League Titan Esports. I have been Malco. This has been Jack. Thank you guys also on the producers from Darth Laser and from Sheragorn for being able to handle all the production and give us such a great night. Thank you guys as the audience as well for giving us a hype chat and everybody who engaged with us. We thank you all for the compliments. We thank you all for joining us for some extremely exciting League of Legends. This has been Titan Esports Conqueror League. We wish you all a good night and join us again next week on Wednesday night at 8 p.m.